Hello everyone, this is another video, I guess part 3 of this series. Let's get right into it. So the last video that I was talking about was all a bunch of English examples, and this one's going to be the Cebuano examples for this ergative absolutive issue. I know some of you there are having a hard time understanding and grasping ergativity because this is probably the language or your first language that you're learning. This is probably like your first foreign language that you're learning apart from English that has ergativity and a lot of it involved. I know it's a hard and difficult concept to grasp, especially when you don't speak an ergative or fully ergative language, or I guess majority of the times an ergative language, right? Let's get right into it. So I have two sentences up here, and this one they're both intransitive verbs, meaning they cannot take objects or things, right? So the first one is nagdagan ko, and the second one is naghilak ko, right? The verbs nagdagan and naghilak, they are both intransitive. Nagdagan ko means I ran, naghilak ko means I cried, right? Because you can't run. I guess you can run an object, but this case is just running. And hilak, I don't know if you can cry an object. It's weird, but yeah, cry. So naghilak ko. And I wrote ko in green here to indicate that it's in the absolutive case. We're using that pronoun, the first person singular pronoun in the absolutive case. Ko, right? And it's a short form for the ako, right? I wrote it in green. Now, on this part here, I just kind of combine the two sentences. I want to combine them, right? Remember, we're still talking about ourselves, and we are the subject of the sentence. We are in the absolutive form, right? So, ako, right? Nagdagan ko ug naghilak ko. I ran and I cried. Which, I mean, you can say that it's just really long and repetitive, but you can shorten it. So that's what I did on this next sentence. Nagdagan ug naghilak ko. I ran and cried, right? Which sounds like a lot better, right? As long as you're consistent with the case, okay? Because the case can change, and that's what I wrote in green. Depending on what case you're talking about, you have to be consistent with the case. For example, nagdagan ug naghilak ko. Ko is still in that absolutive case, right? It's the pronoun that's in the absolutive case. Notice how I didn't change the color because it's still in the absolutive. If I wanted to change our absolutive or our subject, right, I still need to have a marker saying that we are in the absolutive case still, right? So this is where ang comes in, right? If we're talking about not a person or not a pronoun, not something that's using a subject pronoun or something like that, right? We're using something else, like another noun, but we're talking about that noun in the absolutive case, we have to use ang. Nagdagan ug naghilak ang iring. The cat ran and cried, right? It makes sense. Nagdagan ug naghilak ang iring. Because if I'm going to use the og, which is, I'm going to explain this in another video, but if I'm going to use og, it doesn't make sense. It's in a different case. And that's kind of like the example I showed on the Ergativity Part 2 video, where you're using the wrong pronoun for the wrong case. So if I say, nagdagan ug naghilag og iring, it doesn't make sense. So you would say ang iring, okay, because we're talking about the cat, which is the main focus of the sentence. Again, ko, right? Ko is a pronoun in the absolutive case, meaning if we don't want to talk about us and we want to talk about other people, you have to use pronouns that same pronoun in the absolutive case. So ka for ikaw, remember the short form is used, ka, and then or if you want to talk about the other person, siya, he or she, right? Nagdagan ug naghilak ka, nagdagan ug naghilak siya, nagdagan ug naghilak ko. They all make sense. I wouldn't change the case into another, into an ergative case, let's say, for example, because we're still talking about us. We're not an object of the sentence, right? So it wouldn't make sense to say nagdagan ug naghilak niya, or nagdagan ug naghilak nako, or nagdagan ug naghilak nimo. So it's weird. It's like there's something odd about it. But yeah, make sure that you stay consistent with the case, even for the demonstrative pronouns. These are still pronouns, they're just demonstrative, and because they're pronouns, they have their own case, so you have to make sure you use the right case. This is gonna sound weird, but it still sounds right. You know, nagdagan ug naghilak kini, nagdagan ug naghilak kana. They all sound the same as long as you're consistent in that case. Because if you hear someone say like nagdagan ug naghilak ni ini, or something like that, it just doesn't. It sounds weird. Something is off about it or odd about it. So just make sure you're using the right case, okay? And that's what I wanted to emphasize on this one. Is that the case matters a lot. I don't know much about other languages out there, but I know that they do have case systems, and it's more in depth than Cebuano's case systems. English has it, except it's just only with the subject and possessive and objective pronouns. It's more limited to pronouns. Cebuano is more, I guess it's more limited with pronouns as well, but just make sure you're still talking in the right focus for it, okay? And down here is where I was going to show the examples in the Cebuano version from the previous video. I have I have a transitive verb here and an intransitive verb here. Gusto and nagdagan again. Gusto meaning to want, well, to like or to want, and then nagdagan meaning to run, or ran, I should say, ran, right? And this is where the alignment stuff comes in, because notice how the subject of an intransitive verb can sometimes be the object of a transitive verb, right? And you're kind of looking at it at the moment. You're kind of looking at it right now. Gusto, nako. Nako is the pronoun written in the ergative form, right? And nako is that first person ergative pronoun, first person singular ergative. But we can also notice how we can also shorten it to ko. Gusto ko siya, right? Gusto ko siya meaning I want him or her. I want him or her. So gusto ko siya, I want him, or I like him, right? Don't get this ko confused with the shortened ko of the absolutive case, okay? Because this case is the same, or is not the same, but this shortened ko is the same as the absolutive case ko. They're both shortened to ko. However, you need to discern and you need to learn that this ko is written in the ergative case, not the absolutive. In this video, I'm only going to talk about the absolutive and ergative ones. Probably in another video, I'll talk about the objective and another ergative stuff too, but let's just focus right now for this, right? So don't get confused with the ko for this one. It's implied that this ko is already in the ergative case. So gusto nako siya, meaning I want him. Even though we're written in the ergative form, we're written in this subject, I guess in an object kind of form. Siya is written in the absolutive case because the main focus of this sentence, gusto nako siya or gusto ko siya, is the person we like or the person we want. That's the main focus, and that's why the siya takes on the absolutive case. Nako just remains into this ergative case because we're treating ourselves kind of like the object or kind of like another entity, right? We're treating ourselves differently from siya because all the focus and all the spotlight and all the attention is going to siya, not nako, because we're not talking about ourselves, right? But we are talking about what we like. We are talking about this person. This person is what we like. Gusto ko siya. I want him, right? And again, this is just an intransitive verb, nagdagan siya. You have to have this in an absolutive. It doesn't make sense to have it with an ergative. And I'll show you in the next example why. It's going to be really weird, but it can make sense. And this is, again, you can see how the alignment is, right? This is our ergative, and this is our absolutive, right? You see how the alignment is the same as in the previous one. So we have our ergative and our absolutive. And notice how the absolutives are the same words. They have to remain the same word throughout, right? Or they have to remain in the same case throughout. And I'll show you in this next example why it's going to be weird and wouldn't make sense. So gusto ko siya, right? We have gusto, which is our transitive verb, ergative case, absolutive case, okay? And this This box right here is where I'm going to show you why some of these don't make sense. Okay, so think back, or think just for an example, or switch your brain into the English speaking mode, right? This is where the alignment doesn't make sense, and this is why we have to keep the pronouns distinct. Gusto siya nako. Let's just say that this sentence translates to, let's pretend this translates to that she likes me, okay, or he likes me, right? Gusto siya nako, right? She likes me, or he likes me. Let's just say that, right? So she likes me. Let's just say that. Nagdagan siya. She runs. She likes me. She runs. It doesn't make sense in Cebuano because this is the same sentence from the example I gave before. Gusto siya nako, or I guess you can say gusto. It doesn't make sense. It sounds much more better if you say gusto nako siya. However, this even though this is awkward in Cebuano, if you write it this way, it makes perfect sense in English. Like, it's perfectly normal in English to write it that way. She likes me. It's not her likes me or her likes I, right? But in Cebuano, it works that way. Her likes I. It just works that way. In English, it doesn't. So that's why this alignment is this nominative absolutive. It's weird, but it works in the English language, and this is the difference that I'm trying to show you. Same for down here, right? Let's just pretend that this sentence means I like him, okay? Gusto niya ako, right? Gusto niya ako. Let's just say it translates to I like him. I know it's wrong in Cebuano to translate like that, but just, work with me here. Gusto niya ako means I like him. Because why? Ako is written in our absolutive. We're the ones that we are being talked about. Ako, right? What does ako want? I want this person, niya, him, right? So it's more like ako gusto niya. It's like I want him, or gusto ako niya, like I want him. But in Cebuano, it doesn't translate that way. In English, it can, it does, and it makes sense. But in Cebuano, it translates to he likes me. So it's weird. That's why the alignment is a little off, and it's not aligned correctly because it's not like right here where we can have the two pronouns in the absolutive case the same. Here we have to have the two pronouns in the nominative case the same. So gusto niya ako, nagdagan niya. It doesn't make sense. It's weird. And it doesn't sound grammatically sound either, but the alignment is correct in the way English is going to be. So if this were an English language sentence, it'd be perfectly fine. Like, it, even though it doesn't make sense in Cebuano because we look at ours through an ergative absolutive alignment, in English they look at theirs in a nominative absolutive alignment, and that's why it makes sense to do it this way in English. I'm not sure if this is what many English speakers have trouble or problems with their alignment, but yeah, just check it out. Even though the intransitive verb nagdagan takes an ergative form, in this sentence it doesn't make sense in Cebuano. Same thing with this one, gusto. It's just sounds really weird. But this is just a video to show you how alignment can really change the way a meaning is said, or change the way you say things, which is interesting. I think at least it's interesting when you're learning another ergative or absolutive language. But yeah, on the future videos, I'll talk more about the other types of pronouns and what other examples I can put out there. But yeah, thanks for watching.